Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us and viewing. We are going to be interviewing and speaking with Creig Sherburne. I think that's how I pronounce it, Sherburne. And so he is a sculptor with Central Coast Sculptors, as am I. My name is Keisha Willingham. I'm having so much fun doing these interviews. All right, welcome, Creig. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. So let's just get started with giving us a little bit of your background and your history.
Okay, so I think the thing that led me to my art started way back in the early 60s when I was in junior high school. I was fortunate to be in the Los Angeles Unified School District, which at that time was really a marvelous place. And one of the things they did is they had shop classes.
Yay.
So I was introduced to metalworking and woodworking and plastics and electronics and graphic arts. I've actually set lead type.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, that was my least favorite class, by the way. I got a C in graphic arts. And the others, I got mostly A's or B's. Oh, well, all A's or B's, because
I can't imagine what a graphics arts class might have been like then.
Oh, it entailed taking the lead type and picking all the letters you want to give the text that you desired, and then putting it on the printing press, just like Gutenberg. Yeah, it was
very cool.
Yes, I can see where some people would be really drawn to it, but it didn't attract me like metalworking did.
Right.
Yeah. So I love the metalworking, and so move forward. I didn't take any more shop classes in high school. I did take a drafting class, and then went to a JC for a year after college, and I quit. I was a well-rounded student. I had 5 classes and I got an A, a B, a C, a D, and an F.
Love it.
There you go. So I quit for a couple of years.
Try to keep things balanced, right?
That's it. So I spent some time in the work field, and I realized that with a high school diploma, you couldn't get very good jobs. And sometimes I wasn't thrilled with the people that I was working with. They were, some of them, well, that doesn't matter. I knew that I wanted something different for my life, and I became very introspective and saying, what are you going to do? And so I looked at what are my aptitudes? What were the things that I really liked? And I really like talking to people. It's nice talking to you today. I learned that.
I like talking to people too.
Yeah, just being a box boy at a market, I talked to all the customers as they came through.
So fun.
It was. I had some customers that see that I was at a particular checkout stand, and they'd go to that checkout stand.
Nice.
And I love that aspect of it. So I love talking to people and communicating. And I also love shop work. During my 2 years after not going to college, I worked in bicycle shops, and I worked in a metalworking facility. And so the light bulb went off on my head, become a junior high school shop teacher.
Oh, fun.
And so I went back to school, and I had real vigor for what I was doing. And I became a shop teacher, mostly machine shop. I actually owned a machine shop for a while. So there was some parts on the space shuttle that were made by one person, and that was me.
That's
Nobody
awesome.
else made them. Yeah, they tried to get someone else to make some after the first space shuttle blew up, and they couldn't find anyone. They had somebody scrap them, and they found me after I was no longer in the machine shop business. And so I said, yeah, I'll make those for you. So anyways, I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So where was I going? Yeah, so I got my machine shop background. And in machine shop, it's all applied geometry.
Right.
And I found that I love geometry. And so when funding became more and more difficult for the school I was working, I decided I'm going to the math class. And so I started taking math classes, and I became much more proficient in my mathematical skills. And I became a algebra and geometry teacher at Paso Robles High School.
Fun.
And during that time, okay, 2005, there was Super Bowl Sunday. Oh man, people love Super Bowl Sunday. Me too. It's a day that I could go out and work in my shop and nobody would interrupt me. And I had seen one of these back in the early 80s. And it just sat in my brain for almost 20 years. And on that Super Bowl Sunday, I went out into my shop and I took a piece of aluminum and I created that thing. And I thought, oh, that's neat. And I really liked it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I could make that other one held in there by smaller connecting points, and I could have it go down to a much smaller piece. And one thing led to another, and I've been doing variations on that for 16 years now. And
very cool.
They just thrill me. It's like I have the challenge of how do I create this shape? What's the math involved? And so it has really kept me going. Post-retirement, I went at it with a vengeance. And so I've created a lot of different shapes, and I've gotten a lot of different photographs. And well, you can see on my bookcase behind me, I've got a few of them.
Right, I've been gandering at them.
I just love being surrounded by these shapes. They delight my heart. The interaction between the curves and the flat surfaces and the angles. I never cease to be fascinated. I dream about them.
Know the feeling.
Yeah. So how many years? I taught at Paso High from 1999 until I retired in the middle of 2012. And I did a lot of math equations, but the best equation I ever came up with was when I fell asleep with a small dodecahedron I had created in bronze in my hand. And while I was sleeping, I had a dream and came up with an equation for the volume of a dodecahedron that I've never seen anywhere else. And it's the most splendid math I've ever done. And I slept through the whole thing.
Of course. But clearly you must remember it.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear it?
Sure, yes.
Okay, so this is what I woke up with. The volume of a dodecahedron is equal to 10 times the sine of 36 times the cosine of 36 times the number phi squared. Phi is a really cool number. Times the radius of the inscribed circle cubed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never come up with anything. Yeah.
It's crazy to me whenever I meet artists that are like strongly right-brained and strongly left-brained, right? That are very like analytical and yet super creative. However, I also find that those people, when I meet them, one can't really do well without the other.
No, you've got to have both parts.
Yeah. So I always just found that whenever I'm, crunching numbers or learning, just my left brain isn't engaged, then that's when my creativity will really kick in, right? It'll really like show up. But in the same way, like I don't learn as well, unless I'm doodling like while I'm in class, right? I don't learn as well unless I'm being active. So, however, I don't meet a lot of people, even artists, that are really both analytical and creative. Like I think there's some of that, but not a lot of it.
I think I may have made a small error when I recited my formula.
Uh-oh. What?
So if you're going to go calculate,
like 20 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I remember it was in 2006 I had the dream. And so I think I made a small error there. So when I get my web page totally functional, I better put the correct formula there and how I derived it.
That should be like on the front page.
Perhaps.
The formula should be on the front page. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be just enough to throw people off to make them go, what? And then dig deeper.
Okay, I accept that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. Okay, so after you retired,
So
what was
after
your
I
next step?
well, the dodecahedron had loomed large in my consciousness for a while. I had done a lot of cubes. Um, if you were in my class and you were like, you didn't even have to be an A student, but if you were a student that was totally engaged, I would frequently bestow one of these on my students that were
Nice.
engaged, just as a memento of being in my class and the fact that I love them.
Very nice.
And I have turned some of them into cubes within spheres. And so post-retirement, it was like time to move beyond the cube. The dodecahedron had been looming large in my brain, and I pretty much had it figured out how to make it. It's a very challenging shape.
Yeah.
And so I had to make tooling to hold the piece in my lathe so I could bore it at an angle.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so that took me 3 months to get
Figure
the
that
first
out.
one created. Yeah. But it was good technical things. And then when I was done with a relatively straightforward one, I created another one that had more of the metal taken away. Actually, it's sitting over my shoulder, being held up by a hand right now.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so that one, it brought tears to my eyes when I was able to hold it in my hand. It was a long time coming, and it turned out really well. So now I'm getting it up off of the table, and that hand will be in bronze before long.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
thank you.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm continuing to, well, I took a class at Cuesta College in investment casting. And
Okay.
I had a particular goal at the time. You can see that large piece off to my side. That is what I wanted to make. So the teacher had projects that she wanted, and I said, those are all really cool, but I have an objective, and this is what I want to do. And so I made the patterns, and that piece is a combination of castings and bar stock and flat stock that's been cut and formed and welded and smoothed, and it's about 85% complete. And I loved that class and rubbing shoulders with the people there. I have morphed
How long ago was that?
Well, I just took the class in 2016.
Okay.
I could take 3 semesters, and that was all. And so after that, I went in as a volunteer until we had the lockdown for COVID.
Nice.
Yeah. So I worked with a woman who had MS, and she was really limited in what she could do. And so one semester I was her sidekick. And she
I heard that was super helpful to her.
It was.
Yeah.
So
It's
it
really
enabled
appreciated.
her to bring her ideas to fruition. And I'm still in touch with her. She's a lovely
Good.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice.
And
So
so,
what do you have left to do on?
well, what do I have left to do? If I live to be 100, I still have ideas. I've got a lot of them sitting in the back of my brain. So my objective now is I want to finish the large piece. That I want that to be in public somewhere.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm creating the smaller ones and lifting them off of the table in a variety of ways, some of them looking more organic. So in creating the plinths, I'm tapping into a totally different part of my brain. And I can just feel the difference when I'm working in wax compared to when I'm working very geometrically.
Yeah, it's funny how our senses like get involved in like the creation, right? Because a lot of, I mean, I'm a toucher, so touch is a big thing, you know. So I am mesmerized by the way something feels or glows, or the texture, even the temperature. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it what does it feel like? Oh, this is interesting, a super interesting texture, and I'll explore the texture, but it becomes part of the art as I'm working with different materials. Is it has to feel right here,
Mm-hmm.
it has to feel right here, and it has to feel right here.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
The first time I showed in Morro Bay, there was one piece in particular that I looked at and I thought, oh my gosh, that would feel so good. And so I called the creator of it and I said, I have a friend who's blind and I would like to invite him to our show, in particular to feel your piece.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
And that's what he said. And he also said, thank you for asking. And so
Fair enough.
I spoke to several other artists and let them know what I was doing. And they were all very open to it. Yeah. And if this was a bigger area, New York or San Francisco or something, I think it would just be really awesome to have a show specifically geared to invite the blind community to come and feel the sculpture.
Oh, hang on. I gotta write that down. I'm like, yes, that is a lovely, lovely idea. Oops. Okay, hang on.
It hasn't been within my ability to make it happen, but I would love to see it happen. Yeah, I could see it.
I love that. I love that idea. I'm like, ding, ding, I already have some images. And so I'm like, oh, cool. Stirring up some ideas for myself. That, how long have you been part of the Central Coast Sculptors?
I joined them in 2015, I believe, maybe.
Okay,
14.
so were you around when they were doing the pop-up?
Yes, I was. Okay,
so that was the first thing that came to mind when you said that was this would be a great pop-up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
would be an exhibit like that where it's touching. So yeah, that would be good. So now I'm gonna have to. I need to refocus because now I'm like dreaming.
Well, so. I hope you're able to do something with it. I hope that you have connections and.
You know what? You never know. Sometimes it is maybe just about who you know, but sometimes it's really about, is it the right time for it to happen? Because if it is, then all the things will fall into place.
Yeah.
Right? All the things will fall into place. And the people that you need to know, even if you don't know them yet, they will show up. So.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I like your perspective.
Yeah. Just I believe that there's more to this, world and universe than than what we see. And if we stay tuned, then we'll recognize those people too, right? We'll recognize them. But now that the idea is out there, magic is going to happen.
I look forward to going to the show.
Yeah.
Or
I think that's awesome. I'm like, oh yes. So,
yeah.
Okay. So so you joined the group in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And what have you done with the group since then?
We've had a few barbecues and we've had several pop-ups. And well, it was through the group that I found out about the class at Cuesta College.
Oh, okay.
That's really broadened my horizons. I really like being around young, creative people. I find it stimulating. And for me, it was kind of cool because in the bronze class, there's a lot of metalworking. And so I was able to bring in some of my expertise in working with metals. So I loved helping other students with some of their challenges. And at the same time, I got to see the directions they were going with their art, which influenced me on how I raised my pieces up off the table. So, yeah.
It is, that's a beautiful thing. I love that when you're amidst other creatives, it inspires you, shows you, teaches you, sparks an idea, solves a problem.
It does.
Right. And, and I love that. That's a really great thing about like even just being in a group, so just being part of a group with other people that are creative is super helpful to solve problems, create inspiration.
Yeah, and you make good friends. It was interesting. I had one new friend, and one day I was thinking about her, and I didn't think the words "my friend." I thought "my dear friend."
Oh, that's lovely.
It is, and as soon as that thought was there, I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is growth of a friendship, which is so important in our journey through life."
I agree. I agree. I think it's a really, well, first of all, it's just so terribly important.
It is.
Right. To have a group of people that you trust, that friendship is cherished.
It is.
And that you can pour into, and that gets poured back into you. So I think that's super important for everybody on the planet, right? Like we all need that. We all need that group of people.
We do. And collaborations on artwork are fun, mostly.
Yeah, I would love to do some of that. Like that, I feel like would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it can be.
But I love to see the mind of artists like work when they're creating or they're problem solving or they're just like in the zone doing, whether they're painting or drawing. Like it always just boggles my mind. And it's a beautiful process. And maybe because I relate to it, right? Like I get it, like I know where they're at. And so that makes me watching that happen more valuable.
Yeah. Collaborating is a wonderful thing. I encouraged my daughter to take the class, and so she took it, and she encouraged her father-in-law to take the class. And so there was like these big tables, and we had the three of us there that we shared with two brothers. So that was like the family corner, and that was really enjoyable.
Yeah, that would be very cool. That would be very cool. What did you guys create? Like what was the end result?
The end of the result for me was that piece that I had at Morro Bay.
Okay.
Month. I had created the base for that.
Nice.
My daughter created a bronze heart that is anatomically correct.
Nice.
It's really cool. And she wants to take it to new levels. She was at my house a week ago for movie night with two of her kids. And the kids were engrossed in the movies. And she says, "Hey, Dad, do you have any wax?" And I go, "Yeah, but you can't work on it in the living room."
Right.
So we went out into the shop, and she's created the first of two really beautiful wings to put onto her heart.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely. I look forward to doing that. Will you share that on your website when she gets done with it?
I will. And what amazes me is that I am so slow. And I mean, I can spend a month or 2 months or 3 months on one piece. And while they watched the second half of a movie, she created this beautiful wing and complete. Now she needs to come back and create the mate. Yeah. So to me, that's so inspirational to see that.
Right. So why do you feel like you're slow? Like in comparison to like which your daughter created in, 2 hours. What about the process do you feel like slows you down for you?
Well, my mother's always told me I'm slow. According to my mom, I am as slow as molasses in January.
That's pretty bad.
Unless I was on my bicycle. So I was an avid bicyclist for years and had a big group of friends, and we'd go over mountains. And I was never the first to the top of the mountain, ever. But I was always the first to the bottom of the mountain. So I'm not always slow, but my work is meticulous and detail-oriented. The dimensions have to be just right. The tool has to have just the right size radius.
Gotcha.
And then when I create the plinth that holds it aloft, the pieces that mount to it and hold it have to wrap around it properly in the right places. So it's just very challenging work.
So she does maybe more whimsical.
Yes, except her heart was pretty good as far as she did more research, and that didn't go quite as fast.
Oh, right, yeah.
The wings but she did confess to me that she has worked on the wings a little bit more than that night. And so she knew what she was going for.
Right, so she had a really good base.
She did. And so when she attacked it, it's beautiful. It's stunning.
That's awesome. Ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
And she's got other ideas. Sometimes we have a light heart, and other times we have a heavy heart. And so she'll have some heavy hearts in there. So.
Yeah, that's, I look forward to seeing that put together. I feel like a lot of I would love for you to tell me like your emotion in like pick a piece, like how did you feel while you were creating that piece?
I felt like, when I was doing the dodecahedron and going so slow, I felt like it was a gift from the universe. And I thought, I need to make this because if I don't, somebody else is going to get it as the gift. And I will be jealous of them.
This is mine. Thank you very much. Right?
It's not really mine. It really is. Okay, so I call it a gift from the universe. And the interesting thing is, there are 5 shapes in geometry that are really significant.
Okay.
And they are called the Platonic Solids. And they are named after Plato, who paid a lot of attention to them. And to 4 of these shapes, he gave them the attributes of the elements of antiquity. So they represent earth, air, fire, and water. And the 5th one, the dodecahedron, represents the universe as a whole.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So I call my pieces 4 out of the 5 because they have the repetition of the shape as it moves inward.
Okay.
Most of them I've only had 1, but I have one where it's gone down 4 layers deep. I call them echoes of ancient elements.
Love that.
Earth, air, fire, and water. And the dodecahedron I call Plato's universe. And the one that's over my shoulder, up in the hand, where it's got a really small dodecahedron and there's these radiating pieces of bronze going out to the other layer, is the Big Bang.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So.
Love it. You're fascinating.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's, okay, so do you have any shows coming up? Do you have any pieces in any shows coming up or currently?
No, I have not been active in seeking out shows. I think in some ways I'm deficient. I've been making these for 16 years.
No, you've already said it though. It's like you love them and they give you joy.
They do.
Right? So like in my mind, when you say that I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense why you want to keep them around you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the fact that you're doing this video gave me a nudge that I really needed. I've got lots of photographs. I've got 16 years worth of photos of my pieces, some by really good photographers. And I have not had one printed. And when I got the invitation for this interview, it's like, oh shit, Sherburne, what is your problem? And so I knew that I wanted to have pieces printed on metal. I thought it would be really good. And so I did some research and I found a place that will give sample pieces of the 5 different types of finishes
Nice.
that can be done on metal. So I had that done after you contacted me, and I've received my photos and I know which finish I want to use. And so now I'm going to order some more photos printed on metal. But I'm also, now that I'm moving, I'm going to have some larger pieces done, probably on foam board, because it'll be less expensive.
Right.
And it has more substance than just a poster pinned to a wall. I had a print of Kandinsky's on my wall of my geometry class, and it was all interesting geometric forms interacting with each other. And I think it added a bit of elegance to my classroom.
Well, it gave them a different perspective of what those are, what the shapes are. And you know what I mean? I think that something like that is like, because you don't really connect like geometry to art, but then that says, oh no, like it's all connected. It all like goes together and can go together. And
Yes.
So I think that was probably good. I think you probably did your students a real service in just having that up there as a visual stimulant.
Yeah, I think so too. And drawing on that, I want to make some of my photos available because I can envision them in classrooms inspiring students. It's more than just the numbers. It's more than just a triangle. It's beauty.
Yeah.
And so that's my objective. Plus,
Hey, and you're on the road now. Like you're doing it. You're moving
you
forward.
nudged me.
Okay, so what
grateful.
gear are you in? Are you in like slow molasses gear, or do you feel like you have some momentum?
I have momentum.
Yay!
I know particularly the finish that I want as I order my next pieces. So I'm going to get them and see how they look in reality. And if it's the way I think it looks, my Uncle Danny will get the very first prints. And after that, I don't know where they'll go.
I think that this, because it kind of sounds like a project kind of falls in line with the same idea of like having an exhibit for the blind. You know, in getting these pieces out there, I would venture to say, and I'm just going to throw this out there, that there's probably a grant.
Oh, I'd never considered that.
Yeah, that would probably pay you to do something like this for the schools.
Well, I would love that. I put thousands of dollars into it already. Bronze is expensive. And so it would be nice to have something.
And you have some connections already. So I think that you're already kind of off to a good start because you've been in education.
Yes.
And so, but I think, I bet you could probably find it.
I have a lot of friends that are still educators.
Right.
So I think this is the next thing to look into. What a wonderful idea.
Yes, what a wonderful idea. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I'm glad that you have momentum because I feel like as artists, we can, I don't know, I think we go in ebbs and flows, right? Like we go in moments when we're like full throttle and then moments where we're like, I just need to sit on the couch. And I'm probably more like the opposite of you. Like I am not slow. I'm kind of I'm always barreling forward. But I still I end up with times where I'm like, I can't, like, I need to rest my mind and I need to rest my body. And I have to force myself to slow down to do that. So, but it's good to have the momentum to go because it feels good, right?
Yes, it does. It really does. Sometimes I do get the momentum. Working in wax, I can generally go a lot faster.
Okay.
It's
a softer medium.
It's a softer medium.
Frankly, it's a little bit easier product to work with.
Yeah, working with solid pieces takes a little longer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
That's very cool. Well, I look forward to seeing some more of your pieces. So I would hope that you would, look out for opportunities. I mean, I know that we'll have another show at Morro Bay next year.
I'll have something in.
Yeah. So that could, you could think about that. And then that's kind of where I'm at, is like that I'm seeking opportunity to get like that, kind of get my stuff out there. So I'm looking in different places and doing some different things to try to like find my way through. But I'm hoping that, being part of the group, that's kind of part of that, is that there's, should be some help and solutions there as well.
It has provided opportunities, and it's provided direction for growth.
Helpful.
It's been really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I encountered them. It's kind of interesting. I have a friend who's a photographer, and he mentioned to me several years ago, perhaps I should join a group. And at that time, I was early in doing what I was doing, and I wanted to know, where is my mind going to take me? And after I had a clear-cut vision with all of these varieties of shapes, and then it was time to move forward and show it, that's when I joined the group. And so the timing was perfect. The people I've met have been really good.
Good, yeah. That's awesome. Do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, you asked what emotion comes in. Mostly my emotions on that are just an excitement to do what I want to do. Or in the case of when I had the big bang cut from the metal, I was reduced to tears. But occasionally I will make a memorial urn for somebody. It's an idea that I got from my dad. I don't know if you can see it. If I turn sideways, that piece that's
in the middle.
So
that's awesome.
That is a person's profile that's been turned on my lathe. That's
so cool.
I've done a handful of those. I did the first one back in, I think, 1998. My dad gave me
so cool.
Got the idea in 1972, and I turned it into a memorial urn. And so usually the person I make it for is gone, and it will start as a cylinder of wood that's being turned on my lathe, and I've made a pattern to follow it, kind of like Keymaker does. And
all right, thanks so much, Creig, and have a great day.
Keisha, be well.
Thank you.